All right, hi everybody. Thank you for coming. Let's get this party started. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today, I'm going to give you a really brief overview of what citizen journalism is and a little bit of the history of citizen journalism. We're also going to discuss very briefly traditional journalism. And I have a good friend who is a reporter who is going to come on this call. He actually isn't able to make it today, which I think is okay because we have so much to cover. But he'll be able to make it next week, which is our Actions Week. And then we can work on, you know, how to contact reporters and connect with them and write press releases to get them published into the mainstream media, in addition to everything we're doing over here. So really quickly, this has been a 3-part series. Last week, we talked about how to cultivate our digital community, which is going to be an important part of what we do today, because you can have the best media campaign in the world, and if no one shares it, no one sees it, and it doesn't really get very far. Today is citizen journalism using digital storytelling, and we're going to be using the digital tools, Twitter and YouTube, but don't be intimidated by that. And next week is going to be taking digital action. So we're going to be putting that all together and helping you actually create, you know, actions using these digital tools that we've been learning the past few weeks. So just a brief overview from last week. You all should have a Google Doc that we shared with you in the chat room. And in there, you can find the links to the Digital Garden group on Facebook, as well as the links for Keybase, where you can go and find digital_garden, which is the team name. The reason that we've set these up is to create a supportive community for our activism and help each other as we use these digital tools to continue to be able to meet with our groups and you know, do actions using digital tools. So after you join these groups, please connect with the other people in the group. You know, go ahead and friend them on Facebook. You know, respond to their posts. Even if you don't have a lot of time, you can just like, you know, a little emoji or something, so they know that you saw it. You know, that's how we're going to keep growing the community. So go ahead and introduce yourself on Facebook later, not right now, after this training. So the training rules today, we all bring experience to the table. I'm the main one kind of like presenting this information, but everybody has something valid to share. And I'm not necessarily like, you know, the top expert. I don't know everything. So if you have something that is different from what I said, or that you'd like to add, you know, feel free to share that. Everyone is welcome here. Please be kind, considerate, and loving when you respond. Take a moment, take a breath. You know, don't attack people. When you're not speaking, leave your mic on mute. I kind of hate that because I can't really always gauge how well people are listening or if what I'm saying is resonating. But if we all have our mics on and people are shuffling and moving things around, it can get noisy and difficult to hear each other. But do feel free to give me a shout out if you have a question, or if you just want to add on to what I'm saying. You know, don't be shy about unmuting yourself and you know, giving your feedback. Now, if you have a technical problem, you can send a chat message to Severn, and actually Severn. And I don't know why, when I see the word, I keep saying it wrong. I did this last week too, sorry.
No problem.
But he's also relabeled, he's on here twice, and he's relabeled one of his people that are on there as tech support. So you might see that if you look at the people that are here. You can send a chat message to tech support. Okay, and be ready to have fun. So this is citizen journalism using digital storytelling. First of all, please don't be intimidated. I have kind of thrown a whole bunch of tools at you. Some of them may be super familiar to you. Some of them you may have never heard of or used before. But these digital tools, they aren't the be all end all in knowing. You don't need to know every single thing about them in order to use them, and you don't need to use all of them. You can use what works for you. Also, we have technical support here today. So this is a good time for you to experiment and explore with someone who can, talk you through if you get hung up on something. And your number one tool is your awesome brain. There isn't any digital tool in the world that can help you if you don't have something to say, if you don't have a way to say it that works. So you are the number one tool here. And I'm gonna go ahead and introduce you to tool number 2, which is Google search. We're all stuck in our homes right now. It's gonna be a little bit hard to go out and get those awesome photos and videos of us doing things out in the community. So let me pop out of full screen here. And give me a second. I'm just going to stop sharing that so that I can share my okay. All right. So you should all be familiar with this, I hope, but this is the Google search bar. And if you type a word in here, let's say, oops. Oh, you can also type it up here too. Tucson electric power. All right, so here's Tucson electric power. We all know that. If you look underneath the Google search bar, you have all these options, and you can click on images, and more importantly, you can click on tools, or I shouldn't say more importantly, but I love this part, and this is probably something most of you aren't familiar with, but I use this all over the place putting together this presentation today, and I use it all the time. This, you can say if you're looking for a certain size, color, but the usage rights is what I'm really worried about. So if you are going to be sharing stuff online with people and claiming it kind of as your own, you want to make sure that you are honoring the people that have put it out onto the internet, and both for legal reasons and just to be a good person. So there are all these different reuse labels. I usually like to use just reuse, but labeled for non-commercial reuse or non-commercial reuse with modification. Both of these are also fine. And you may, there may be a little bit more available to that. And so now you can see that there are all of these cool images that I can just pull off of the internet. And the way that I usually do this is I click on the image, it pops up, okay. I go to the source and I right click. And when I do that, it gives me these options, and I can save that image onto my desktop. So if I click Save Image As, it'll give me the option to rename the image and ask me where to save it onto my desktop. And I have an Activism folder. I might put that right into my, Activism folder, and then use that for, my digital storytelling later. So that's just like a really, really quick way for you to find an image to add to your story, because a lot of times just text doesn't really get seen. We're all, busy scrolling on these feeds, and, there's many younger people aren't even on like Facebook and Twitter. They're just on Instagram, so they might not see it if there's no image. So that's a really easy way for you, even though you're stuck at home, you might not be able to get out and get really, really awesome images to use. You can still create an interesting post. So now I'm going to stop sharing that part of the screen, and we're going to pop back in to my keynote. All right. And now let's go and talk about what the heck is citizen journalism, which is, according to Wikipedia, it's public citizens, people like me and you, playing an active role in the process of collecting, reporting, analyzing, and disseminating news and information. So what that means is, like, even if you aren't coming up with the news story yourself, you could still be a citizen journalism just by looking at news, seeing that this news is relevant to others, and sharing it with them. So that's just an easy thing any one of you can do currently, you know, about the topics you're passionate about. When you see someone post a story about, you know, I think most of us are here for, you know, the climate change and environmental reasons. You know, when you see someone post a story and it has real meaning to the environmental movement, you can just share that story. And just by doing that, you're helping to be a citizen journalist. But most of us think of citizen journalism as actually collecting the story. So I wanted to go through a little bit of recent history of citizen journalism. And I'll just say there is a little bit of a trigger warning here for people if you have trouble with violence. So March 3rd, 1991. This was a video taken by a citizen who witnessed a man being beaten by police officers and started filming it. And by that act of filming it, he was able to share it with broadcast news stations who broadcast this. And people all over the country, and I would say all over the world, saw what a lot of people in inner city communities knew, but a lot of other people didn't know, which is that, as we know today, you know, with the Black Lives Matter movement, that a lot of times there's police brutality that we can't even imagine having this happen in our own country in America. So this was pretty shocking to the world. And then a year later, April 26, 1992, that incident started this.
April 26, 1992, there was a riot on the streets. Tell me, where were you? You were sitting home watching your TV while I was parked in some maintenance on anarchy. First spot we hit, it was my liquor store. I finally got all that alcohol I can't afford. Red lights flashing, time to retire, and then we turned that liquor store into a structure fire. Next stop we hit, it was the music shop. It only took one week to make that window drop.
All right, so that's a song by Sublime. It was pretty popular in the 90s. And basically what it's talking about is the Los Angeles riots in 1992. So, you know, that's a pretty big splash on the world. It led to an awareness of, you know, issues with Black men and police. You know, that has continued today. And there's a lot of citizen journalism involved in that as well. But me, I was actually in LA at that time, and I was a young kid and, you know, wasn't thinking about citizen journalism or anything, but I remember seeing, you know, plumes of smoke rising from downtown LA, and, you know, the news was going on about the riots. But later I did get involved in media. I went to school and studied film and video. I worked in many different capacities. I had my own independent production company, and was contacted by Current TV. And I had worked for the television news station, KOLD in Tucson for a while as an editor. So I was very familiar with making news stories, but I hadn't necessarily made a news story myself. So when Current TV contacted me, they said, you know, there's these fires all over Santa Barbara. We're really looking for a different story. Would you be our citizen journalist and go and find a story? We want something a little bit unique. And so this is what I came up with.
Hi, I'm Tamar Pixley. I'm a citizen journalist here in Santa Barbara, California. We're at the scene of the base camp of the Gap Fire, a fire that has been going on for almost 2 weeks now. And we've just talked with some uncommon heroes.
A lot of times at the fires, we're put in the back room. You know, people don't see us, the media doesn't see us. But these guys are majority of the firefighter force a lot of times. You'll have 300 or 400 inmates on a fire. There'll be, you know, twice as many or 3 times as many as regular firefighters.
Well, basically, I've got my 2 17-man crews out here in the distance, kind of looking over this last edge of the fire here, making sure that we don't have any smokes below us, kind of their lookout person.
He's worked his way up on the fire crew. He's what we call a swamper. He sits up front with the fire captain that runs the crew, and he assists him. He's the most crucial person, inmate-wise, on the fire crew.
All right, so that's longer, but I won't make you watch the whole thing. But you know, I'm kind of proud of that piece because actually that was the first piece that I know of that actually aired anywhere talking about the fact that they were using inmates to fight these fires. And so it was kind of, you know, fun to be able to be a part of that and to show a different angle, show a different side of the story. And I think that's why citizen journalism is so important, because as people moving about in the world, we often see things in a different way than is being given to us by the mainstream media, largely of which, from my experience, get their stories from the Associated Press. There's actually not a lot of investigation going on in a lot of the big, you know, outlets, media outlets. They're just getting stories kind of handed to them. I love this image. I got this from doing a Google search of citizen journalism and looking for one, you know, usage rights. The best camera is the one that's with you. And right now we live in a time in history when we have cameras in our pockets. And not only are these cameras, but they're also little broadcasting stations that we can just use to record and then and just we can actually stream live to people all over the world just using our phones. So we have incredible power, more power than we've ever had in history. The hard part about this power, though, is because not every single person, there are people that don't have, you know, phones or don't have smartphones, but most people do, which means that most people have access to the ability to broadcast, which means how do you find the news and information that is accurate and relevant to you? I got ahead of myself with this slide. So today we carry everything we need to record and broadcast news stories in our pockets. Traditional journalism is where we can take our citizen journalism and get it out to a larger audience, to the people that maybe we wouldn't normally be talking to. Because right now I can share with my friends that I'm connected to already, but they're already probably going to be on the same page as me. I'm not that often bringing them news that's really new or different from what their thought process already is. So by connecting to traditional journalism, we can get access to a broader audience. And Joe said that he can come on the call next week. Joe has been a political reporter for the Daily Star for, I don't know how long, I won't say, I can't remember, but a very long time. He's no longer working for them, but he has lots of information for us on how we can connect to local reporters. I talked to him briefly yesterday, and one of the things that he said is to find a connection to your local reporters ahead of time. Don't just send a cold press release, but say, hey, I'm working on stories around this topic. Are you the right person to talk to? Are you interested in this kind of, thing? And then once you kind of develop that rapport, then when you're sending the press releases, that person knows who you are. They're gonna take the time to look at what you have to say and know that you're sending it to the right person and not just blanket sending out, information to everybody. So hopefully he'll be able to come onto our actions training next week and work with us on those press releases. So let's talk about the digital storytelling aspect of citizen journalism. I spent some time thinking about how to define the difference between a story and a fact, because our brains are wired for story. When someone tells us a good story, we lean in, we listen, we retain the information. When I told the story of the Rodney King beating in Los Angeles, because I had that personal connection and because it was a story, it wasn't just a fact. I wasn't just saying, okay, on this date and time this happened, and then on this date and time this happened, right? There was a story to that. But what is the difference? So a fact provides information. It's true, it's backed by evidence, and sometimes it can be really boring if someone just gives you a whole bunch of facts. A story may also provide information. It may or may not be true, but it can be true. It can also be backed by evidence, but it should not be boring if it's a good story. I think the thing that changes a fact from just information is that when you hear a story, it makes us want more information. We want to know why. We want to know how. We want to know the details. Stories make us feel something, and they tell us something about what people or what is being felt about what's happening. So I pulled up this tweet that Extinction Rebellion had shared on our Facebook page. I really like this tweet, and so I thought I would use this to kind of demonstrate how, by using this digital tool of Twitter, we can tell a really effective story. This 150-year-old Saguaro was alive and standing when I was here yesterday. Trump's @GHSGov is flattening everything in their path for the #border wall. All right, so let's break this down a little bit. So first of all, this story is told in under 280 characters because that's the limit by Twitter for a tweet. So every word has to really be thought of carefully. Like, there's no extraneous information. This isn't a long monologue about how this person feels, and yet the feeling is there. When we read this 150-year-old Saguaro was alive and standing when I was here yesterday, and we look at that image, there's feeling there. It's not just a fact. It's a story. Then we use the @GHSGov. We use a Twitter handle to call out the people and organizations responsible. So this activist is saying, look, look at the government, our administration, this is what they've done. And they're calling them out using that @GHSGov. And the way you do that, we'll go into later. And then we have this really effective hashtag. hashtag border wall. So the thing about a hashtag is there are two sides to a hashtag. One is that the hashtag makes things findable. So if I want to know stories about the border wall, I might just look at hashtag border wall and look at all the stories that have to do with what's happening with the border wall. So you don't necessarily want a hashtag that is so vague that you wouldn't necessarily be able to connect to it. Story. So you don't necessarily want a hashtag that's just so literal and so feeling behind it. Hello? Oh. And the second part to this is the image. And pictures, just like words, a picture can tell a fact or it can tell a story. So when I look at this picture, it tells me such a powerful story. The composition, I'm looking at this beautiful, huge saguaro tree, knowing that it took 150 years to get that tall, and I'm looking at it lying down on the ground. Its body has been mutilated. And in the background, we see the wall, and we see that the wall is in the process of being built. It's not complete. So this is telling a story, just this picture alone, even if we didn't read anything that the tweet said, this story tells us that the border wall is destroying our very delicate desert ecosystem. By building this huge wall, we're tearing down these saguaro cactuses that are protected, that many of us have personal connections to. So I decided I wanted to kind of really talk a little bit about pictures and what pictures, how we can frame pictures to tell a story versus telling the facts. And so I used our own image archives at Extinction Rebellion Tucson, and I didn't do this to call out the people that took the pictures. I am so grateful for anyone who takes a picture during any kind of action, because then I can, post that on social media, and any picture is better than no picture. But I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of an idea of what to look for when you're looking for how to take a picture or how to select a picture that tells a story versus one that doesn't. These are 3 pictures I pulled from different events that really I feel missed the story. They're just not really, they don't pull me in, they don't really tell me much information, they don't really make me want to find out more about what's happening, other than I'm not sure what's happening, right? So the first picture is of a banner drop, and it's just kind of a little too far away. I'm seeing more of the sign, right lane turn only, than I am of the actual banner sign. I can kind of see that there's people up there, and the one thing I do like about this picture is that you have someone kind of raising their fist, which is cool, but it's just not quite there. And then to our right we have our meditation. This picture, there's just so much in the foreground that's just like dead grass. Like I'm not really, and then if I look in the back, oh, okay, I guess people are sitting, but it's not clear if they're just sitting around hanging out or why they're sitting. I'm not getting any emotion from this. It's not really telling me a story. I'm not wanting to kind of, ask more. And then the same on the bottom right with the no walls. People are kind of walking with the sign, but I can't quite read the sign. Again, there's a little bit of story here, but not much. So then here are the pictures that are from those same events, but have enough of a story to them that these can really be used effectively. So we see with the banner drop, now we're closer. We can see what the banners are saying. We can see the people above the banners, raising their fists. They're active. They're involved. And then we can see the cars going under, and imagine that, you know, as they're driving, they're seeing Act Now, they're seeing these signs, and it's maybe, you know, getting them to start thinking. So we have a little bit of story there. And then in the top right, we again have our mass meditation. But this time we can see, you know, in the foreground, we're not just looking, you know, at grass and then there's something happening in the back. We're seeing, you know, there's someone sitting, he's in a meditative pose, his eyes are closed. We can feel that, you know, the people sitting around him, that there's a sense of reverie. So we know that, you know, people are meditating here. And then in the bottom right, this is probably not the best example of this, but what we see here is that there's a lot of people. I mean, as far as our eye can see, we see people, and they're carrying signs and they're walking down a road, and we know that it's some kind of protest. This is from the San Pedro River. Okay, so I hope that kind of gave you a little bit of a touch on creating digital stories. So what I want to do now is I want us to get together and create our first digital story together. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up with a hashtag. And the rules for this are, we want to tell the story in as few words as possible. And I use this example here, and I had kind of mentioned this before, the Me Too movement. So hashtag Me Too tells a very effective story, very little words. Now, this is a little different than what I talked about before, which is that when someone's searching for a topic, I don't think until the Me Too movement, you know, was started and people really kind of educated about what Me Too meant, that someone would have searched for Me Too. So this is a little different in that this hashtag itself was the campaign. This was the story. And we can certainly do that and tap into, also we could look for hashtags that exist and see if there's one that we want to tap into as we talk about, you know, the issues that are important that we're working on today. Also, then you agree to help our members get their messages. Oh, wait, sorry. I think that was copy and pasted from somewhere else. So we'll just pretend, I don't know what that, we'll come back to that part. I see in the chat, Judith asked, how do we search for existing hashtags? So I will go ahead and share my screen again with you and take you guys all over to Twitter. Okay. And one of the issues that I know Extinction Rebellion and some other climate groups have been working on is the Tucson electric power rate hikes, right? So in order to look up hashtags, you guys can see that I've just hovered over this hashtag explore. So let's go ahead and search Tucson. Let's just see what kind of hashtags we come up with. No, this is not showing us. Let's do TP. For some reason, the first thing that comes up is like someone in a purple tracksuit. I don't know what hashtag TEP means, but we probably don't necessarily want to use hashtag TEP. TEP is actually like the fifth down that comes up for hashtag TEP. But does that kind of give you an idea of how to search for a hashtag? And then I'm proud that Extinction Rebellion comes up first. I don't know if that's because of that. This is my Twitter feed, and that's why probably. But Jay, do you want to talk a little bit? If you are talking, we can't hear you because you're muted.
No, just thanks for the search for hashtags. That's great. Talk about what?
So what would you, what kind of hashtags were you thinking of searching for?
Just to see what other, if it's like trademarks, you don't want to use the same one so that your messages go to the wrong place, right? Mm-hmm. So if we wanted to refer to TEP in Twitter, right? Would that hashtag TEP go to the purple pants?
It probably would. And then honestly, I would not use the hashtag if we want to talk, if we want to call out TEP, I would do an @.
Do what?
Do the @ sign. So that would be their handle is what it's called. Okay. So if we look up Tucson Electric Power, we can see what their handle is. Where are they? Why are we seeing a Kirsten Cinema tweet? Okay, well, I will just show you, if we wanted to tweet to Kirsten Cinema, it would be @Senator Cinema. That's her handle. So okay. Let's keep looking for Tucson Electric Power. Say people, Tucson Electric Power. There we go. Okay, so so that's kind of funny. So it looks like they have outage info is their but we probably want them to be at @TEP Energy. So when we want to call Tucson Electric Power out for, trying to hike the rates on us, and at the same time do that to pay money for dirty energy, we can, in our tweet @TEP Energy, and then that will actually go and be on their public page, which is like pretty embarrassing for them, I hope. So I would do @TEP Energy versus hashtag TEP something, because hashtag TEP isn't Tucson Electric Power. And that frees us up with our hashtag to actually be about the broader issue, because it's not just TEP. Remember, it's also Arizona Corporation Commissioners. And so we can target either using the same hashtag that's sending the same message. Does that make sense? In terms of hashtags, let's not look at Twitter for a second. I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen. And let's just kind of maybe have like a little discussion time. So please raise your hand if you have an issue, or you can go ahead and start, since you're unmuted right now, and talk a little bit about the TEP. And then if someone else has a different issue, if you want to raise your hand, we'll come to you next, and we can kind of brainstorm some hashtag ideas for you.
You're asking me to start?
Yeah.
Okay, great. We, of course, are interested in no fossil fuels.
Yes.
And one of the things I think is good about the TEP rate case is that the proposed rate increase is going to pay for 2 gas plants and 2 coal plants. And of course, at least in my opinion, TEP should not be allowed to put any more money into fossil fuel operations. So if you're interested in no fossil fuels locally, this is a good issue for that reason. Secondly, it's an issue that the whole public is interested in, as well as the Tucson government, who also presented opposition to the current rate proposal. So it's widely accepted. So it's one way for us to build our movement, is to really be loud about an issue that a lot of people care about and understand.
Yeah.
So the hearings for the TEP rate increase, very ironically, are on Earth Day and the next day after. So Vern can jump in here. The Extinction Rebellion group has been talking about 3 different benchmarks, April 6th, 13th, and 21st, where we can build up opposition and media exposure, social media, regular media, everything around this issue. So that's the introduction. We still need a full calendar of what the TEP group and its allies are going to do. We've thought about, a picture campaign with a digital, it's like a digital protest that would go to both TEP and the Arizona Corporation Commission. There's regular media with letters to the editor and op-eds, and Tamar, anything else you can think of and help guide us through, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so the main goals here are to say no fossil fuels, no rate hikes, and then what do we want?
We want 100% renewables by 2025 if we're Extinction Rebellion, and with our other allies by 2030.
Okay. So right now we are focusing on citizen journalism and the digital storytelling, and at this very moment specifically just coming up with a hashtag. So I have some hashtag ideas for you, but I first want to give other people a chance to maybe bring up anything that is important to them, to see if we have other issues that people would love to come up with hashtags. And I see Neil is raising his hand.
Okay. Yeah, so to me, the crux of it is that TEP and other energy companies that have used a lot of coal as fuel were slow to, see which way the wind's blowing and stuff. And so they invested, they continue to invest in this polluting fossil energy. And now part of the justification in some cases for raising rates is to build renewable energy plants and stuff. But to me, it's like, no, their shareholders should pay, their investors should pay, because they made bad business decisions. In other words, they weren't forward looking. So I would like a hashtag that kind of sticks it to them beyond just that burning fossil fuels now is no good anymore. It's just like, now they screwed up, even in their own business terms. Hold them accountable, because they're going to try and put it back on the ratepayer and the public in 50 different ways.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know what the hashtag would be, but that's my feeling. I'd like the hashtag to capture something of that like they pay for their mistakes.
Okay, I like that. So, don't make us pay for your mistakes kind of messaging. Yeah, I mean, I think initially as we're brainstorming ideas for hashtags, we don't want to worry about what the hashtag itself is going to be, but more like, what is our message? And then as we kind of have like the message coalesce. We can take away the excess words until we find, you know, 1 or 2 words that kind of hits home. And we can also think about, like, you know, what hashtags, like I said, are already out there, and you know, if there are movements out there that we want to tap into, that maybe are part of the broader movement. So this is very local to Tucson, but it is not local to Tucson, right? This is cities all over the country are doing the same thing. I mean, I'm here in Santa Barbara, and you know, they're increasing the rates at, you know, the local electric company here as well. And so I think we're part of a larger problem, that there is an investment into fossil fuels and ignoring, you know, that there are all these other sustainable options that we could be investing into. So I see in the chat we have quick idea is no fossil fuels. Okay, so let's run that by our story. What story does this tell? Is there any emotion to no fossil fuel?
Nope.
Yeah, I think it's too much of a fact. So let's kind of play around. We that no fossil fuels, that might be more of our goal. And it's good to have our goal in mind, but it's not as compelling as the why, as the emotional part of it. So what Neil is raising his hand. Go ahead and unmute yourself. What is the emotion behind no fossil fuels? What is the story behind no fossil fuels? Go ahead, Neil.
No fossil fools.
That's cute.
Not an endless source. I mean, it is an endless source. I meant the reverse. Or we'll be out of oil.
And if we're out of oil, what does that mean?
Not renewable.
No petroleum products, no gasoline.
Yeah, but
no power plants functioning on oil or gas.
Not renewable resource.
Well, why do I care if it's renewable or not?
Good question.
Once you've used up the oil, there's many the petroleum, there's many ramifications thereafter.
What are the ramifications? Like, why should I care about these ramifications?
Oh, plastics in the hospitals that are utilized, plastics in our food containers, our bottles, or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But so what? What about it?
Gee, we'll have to switch to glass.
Maybe the imbalance is the problem.
But okay, so
it's deadly now.
Okay, so deadly. So it comes back maybe to you know, our desire to survive as a species.
Extinction. Yeah.
Fossil fuels are pollutants.
Hmm.
I know it's tough, right?
It is.
It's not always the most obvious.
That's why a group is good to come up with something together is better.
Yeah, absolutely. So now let's come up with a tweet. So it needs to be under 280 characters. We want to use an @Twitter handle to call out people or organizations, and we want to find a good image using a Google labeled for reuse search. So Stop sharing. So with the fossil fuel story, so what you were thinking, and we don't have to use the Google search too. We could take pictures of ourselves with, a sign, or if we like, I don't know if there's a jester hat in the, how you can like do weird effects on yourself in some of these photo apps, but if we all had like little fool jester hats, could be kind of funny. So what are your thoughts? Sorry, did I put everyone on the spot, or are you guys thinking? I don't. Neil, I think you may be talking, but I can't hear you because you're muted.
Okay. Because I came up with the no fossil fuels, I was thinking of, like the TEP decision makers as being fossil fools. But now you all are talking about we're not fossil fools. And so it can cut both ways. I just want to point that out, that I had it going in the other direction.
I did too, Neil.
But it's like, yeah. But it can,
and I was actually sitting there grappling with that quietly, like, I don't know. I want to see hats on them.
Yeah.
But interesting how, there's 2 points of view.
Like, couple guys in business suits or something, but instead of a face, it's a big clunk of black coal.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Nice.
So coal head.
Coal head.
I'm going to look it up. It is an interesting thing to look up.
Ooh.
But yeah, not exactly. Oh, wait, there's a Greenpeace thing. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here.
And does XR, is that important for everybody to have that symbol as a unifying logo, or
well,
that
no,
important here at all in this case?
I don't know if there are people who are not from XR on this call. I can't remember. I can't kind of keep track, but what are you? Is anyone here not from Extinction Rebellion?
Everyone is.
Okay, well then, yeah. I think if we're doing it as an Extinction Rebellion, then we can use the logo, and otherwise, if we're working with the Climate Coalition, the logo doesn't have to be a part of it.
Judith has her hand raised.
Go ahead.
That's okay. That was from a while ago.
I like the coal heads, are easy to make.
Yeah, they're really
effective.
Yeah, they're really easy to make.
Yeah, that's really great. I
can't bear this heat, act on climate, Greenpeace. Okay. And they have a polar bear. That's so cute. So I guess we could play on that, and take pictures of, make our own little paper hats with like a paper bag that we paint black, and and then hold our signs up in various places, like in our yards or whatever. I don't know if buy a saguaro cactus if you can, so it's like obvious it's Arizona.
Yeah, and then it crosses my mind that coal isn't the only energy source here. Water creates electricity. TEP is an electric company, and it's water based, I think. Do these coal heads
Make sense.
reflect that or
Well,
enough? I mean, it does for me, but is it
so
specific
from what
enough?
I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, the rate hikes are for investing into other kinds of energy that would be like coal and pipelines, but
It's for coal and natural gas, which is fracked.
oh, fracking, yeah,
And
which
fracking is really bad for the environment. So, and that's specifically this rate hike is for those fossil fuels and not for paying for renewables of any kind. It's for plants.
well,
When they ask for a rate hike, they have to tell the ACC what they're going to do with it.
yeah.
And so that's what they've proposed. So,
Okay, so I feel like our message needs to be no rate hikes to pay for coal and fracking, because it's a lot of people probably don't know that information. My pen just died.
yeah, call it fracked gas.
Okay. You know, so it'd be no at TP. We'll have to go back and figure out what the TP Twitter handle is. No at TP something rate hikes for coal and fracking, period. And then hashtag no fossil fuels. And then we can figure out the picture story that we want to go along with that. Does that work? Along with what you guys were thinking?
Again, just really fast, TEP itself doesn't do any fracking. So you need to just say fracked gas because that's what they burn.
Okay, so
no rate hikes for coal and fracked gas. And how do we tie that to no fossil fuels?
sorry. No at TEP. I'm sorry, I'm so disorganized, you guys. I don't remember what the TP thing was.
It's
TP Energy.
Thank you. Okay, no at TP Energy rate hikes for
No hikes investment in coal and fracked gas. Should investment be in that sentence? Or not?
Does that
should it say no rate hikes invested in coal and fracked gas or fracked gas? Is it assumed
I
that
think
the
the
hikes are going to be the investments or the rate hikes? Is that an assumption? That
I think the
rate hike
investments
relates
is
to
implied. I think that's implied in rate hikes.
It is?
For.
Okay.
To me, it is. I would just assume that, sure, if you're
Okay.
saying for, it's money, it's for, it's to invest in.
All right.
That's my own sense.
okay, and then so hashtag okay. And I think we can just leave it $1 sign just to
How about saying for another dumb decision?
for
Another dumb what?
Decision. Another dumb decision.
yeah, another
Oh.
decision.
Oh, that's good. Hashtag no more dumb decisions. at TEP Energy.
All right.
Get your podium.
I kind of feel like this is a lot of information. I like it, but I don't know that it tells a story unless we have a picture that is compelling that tells the story for us, or I think the word dumb is a good thing to add, you know, because it is dumb, like seriously, what the heck? So that adds a little more emotional storytelling to it, but
quick suggestion, if we did a new picture, you could have coal in one hand and a bunch of dollars in the other hand.
yeah, I think that would tell a very effective story.
It's possible that no one we know has a suit and tie anymore.
Okay, I put it on the group chat.
Okay.
Or just the dollar symbol on top of those coal bits, the hand and the head could put a dollar right on top of it.
One more idea, if we did a new picture, there should be lots of smoke in the background.
Mm. Yeah. Smog.
Yeah.
But we could make it current, and you could have a face mask on the front of the coal head.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
That could be one with smog and smoke like that. Another one could be superimposing that guy over drought environment, over forest fire, over diseases in hospital, people with masks, whatever like that. But the same figure, you know, would be the fossil.
Represents that.
The fossil fuel guy. Yeah,
the power of coal.
Okay, so I am sharing my screen again with you guys. Okay, so no at TEP Energy rate hikes for another dumb investment in coal and fracked gas, renewable by 2025, no fossil fuels, XR Tucson.
Should the fool be a plural?
I think fools should be plural, yeah. That's the dollar sign as an S.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. I like it. I think it's a good start. And then we can, I'll go ahead and tweet it out now, unless you guys, should we do the renewable by 2025? Should that be a hashtag instead of, because that is one of our goals?
Sure.
Okay.
Or all renewable by 2025.
I don't know why our XR Tucson hashtag's not really going well, but okay. Renew 2025.
Neil said all renewable.
Okay.
Does by need to be in there or not?
I think it's like then we know it's a target.
Period. Yeah.
Like a near target by 2025.
Okay.
Or do we want to do renewable TEP by 2025?
Specific to this project.
All renewable TEP by 25. Or
Okay.
all renewables, maybe.
I think it's getting too bulky.
Yeah.
Let's just, I think you're already calling out TEP. I think all renewables 2025 gives us enough information and keeps it.
Okay.
You guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job. Okay, I like this. Thank you. I feel like everyone really contributed to this. Unless, does anyone have anything else to shout out before I hit tweet?
No.
So you go ahead and copy that link. And now use whatever you already have. So if you are a Facebook person, put it into Facebook. If you're Twitter, you could retweet that. If you are an email person, you could send out an email saying, hey, everybody, you know, please share this tweet about what's happening and help us call out TEP. Now, when you're sharing it, I don't want you to just copy and paste the link and then post it. I want you to write your own why it's important to you. Okay, because that's where people care, right? Because otherwise, why do I care? You know? So tell me why you care when you post this. You know, like it's really important to me that we go sustainable because I know that, you know, climate change is a real thing. And that the less that we contribute to these greenhouse emissions, the more likely we are to, you know, be able to survive as a species. If you care about surviving too, please help me share this. Please put pressure on to TEP, and then next week it'll be, you know, Arizona Corporation Commissioners, etc. Okay, why don't you guys all take advantage of the fact that you have an IT person here right now? And go ahead and ask the questions that you have about this stuff, like what's been coming up for you when you're trying to use these tools, and I'm throwing them out at you like, hey, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, come on people, Keybase, Proton Mail.
I think I asked my question about that earlier. It's still, I guess, just practice.
Are you are you going to sign up right now for Twitter, or are you going to stick with Facebook because that's where you're comfortable?
I'm going to wait to sign up for Twitter. I'm not going to sign up for Twitter yet. Do you think I really should?
So
What
would
if
a
I
short,
Oh.
then that's fine. Would a short guide for Twitter be helpful to anyone?
Sure. Yeah.
And what's nice about Twitter is, which is different from Facebook, is there's so much news and information, and like you can follow. I mean, like Mayor Romero tweets a lot, and so you can find out a lot of information on about Tucson just through Twitter, and she's constantly updating, even about the coronavirus. You know, the whole stay-at-home mandate that she's trying to push with the governor as well. She's tweeting that consistently and updates, and she, you know, posts videos, and like there's a lot that Twitter offers as far as news goes and articles, and I like that more than Facebook. I can create a little guide, a short guide, just for how to use it, and then or create an account, and then like what's nice about it. the things you can find. I mean, just what we were doing earlier with the hashtags and searching for it. I mean, even just searching for COVID-19, you find tons of stuff. I mean, it's more than just videos of people that are at home quarantined. It's like, you know, news and information and updates on what the US is doing with it. And so I think with that, it's a little bit more powerful.
Okay.
I mean,
I want to hear those kind of things. What, like, why?
Yeah, exactly. Like Facebook, I think, is just a lot of people sharing. It's not so much news as it is just people sharing. You know, it's, I don't know, gossip, I guess. I don't know.
More personal stuff.
Yeah, there you go. More personal. That's a better way of saying it. And I actually installed Twitter, I think in like 2017 or 2018 when I was living in California and there were huge fires going throughout San Diego, and like my work had to get evacuated, and like when I went home I just installed it because and followed the fire department, and they were giving you literally hourly maps every 30 minutes, maps of where the fires were, and we're updating everybody in the area quickly. And like I was getting the notifications on my phone because I was worried that we'd have to get evacuated, and that was so much better and faster information than I could do just looking it up, because I would get the notifications consistently like, hey, this is where the fire is, this is the map, and like it was just very nice for that type of thing. And I think even for what's going on right now, it's nice to stay up to date, and it's you know, pretty consistent. So.
And maybe you could say it is a proven form of communication now, an established one, like you're saying, emergency. Our president uses it. A lot of people, you get important information via Twitter. It's not a game.
Right. And well, yeah, I mean, with anything, you have to do your research, right? But the president, just since Trump became president, Twitter has become even bigger of a platform because he uses it. And so it's yeah, I think that has pushed it to be even bigger of a platform, and people are, you know, posting articles and stuff. But I would say you do need to be conscious of what you're reading, and, you know, if it's lies or not, because there's a lot of that. But that's with any platform.
And also it is evidence, like these tweets are like the written word, as Tamar said, her brother, lawyer.
Oh, right.
Said it's.
Yeah, and there's something called the Internet Archives. I actually recently visited in San Francisco, their main headquarters. It's in this old Christian Science church. It's really cool. You can do like a free tour and see it. But they, the guy from the beginning, basically, of the internet has been archiving everything online. And
oh my God.
History, and there's something called the Wayback Machine where you can go. And they are actively chronicling, like, when people delete things and try to, you know, say, oh, I didn't say that, you know.
Oh boy.
Good that there's a watchdog type organization like that out there. Okay, so I shared my screen here with you guys. And so over here in the corner is a little icon of a video camera with the plus sign. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go live, okay? So I hit go live. Let's see what happens. All right, yep. Studio YouTube wants to use your microphone and your camera. I'm gonna allow it to do that. Okay, I'm gonna create a title showing our XR group how to go live on YouTube, okay? I'll go ahead and leave this public because I'm not going to say anything. Is this video made for kids? No, it's not made for kids, but there's no age restriction. Okay, let's see if I have any other options. So I can kind of pick a category here. I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know, how to and style, I guess, maybe. probably not the right one, but it's good enough for now. Okay, so I'm gonna smile for the thumbnail. Yay! Hooray! Gosh, this is long. Okay, what's happening? Oh no!
It
Oh,
got
that's what happened. Oh my gosh, and look at how bad my face looks. Okay, so I have poison oak on this side of my face. You might have
oh,
noticed
it's
this.
swollen.
So I look like it's really swollen. Let's see. Is there a way to,
It can be your poison oak story.
how do I go back? Let's see, edit stream.
It's live. You can't go back.
Well, no, because it hasn't started streaming yet. So I'm just gonna change something. I'm gonna go in advanced settings, see if it'll allow me to allow chats. Nope, doesn't contain. Okay. Oh man. Oh my gosh, you guys. No.
Can you go back before you got poison oak?
Right? Whatever. Okay, just for you, I'm gonna go live with my poison oak face, so then you don't have to feel self-conscious. All right, I'm going live. Okay, I'm live. All right, so I have poison oak on this half of my face. It is swollen. I look really funny, but I'm going live anyway because I'm being brave for my fellow climate change compatriots and comrades, and showing them how to do this. So if you want to go live, it's actually really super simple. How you get people to actually watch your live streams, a whole other story, but we're working on that with learning about all these different forms of social media, and this is just incredible how swollen and yucky my face is. All right, that's going live, guys. All right, and now I'm gonna hit end stream. It's gonna ask me, am I sure? Yes, I am sure. I ended it. And now it's no longer live, so I can edit it in the studio. And okay, so now we have gone over in the past two parts of this series. We've gone over Facebook, Keybase, Twitter, and YouTube. We already had a big like tech support time for you guys to ask your questions. You lost out if you didn't ask a question because you were embarrassed and didn't want to admit that you don't know how to do something good, but I won't shame you. So I already did. So go forth and make yourself heard. And thank you for coming today, guys.